Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Would you please make your way to your seats, everyone? We're getting ready to start. Thank you.
No. Okay. I just reset the focus.
Thank you all for being here today. It's a joy to be here with you to talk with you about our work. Before we begin our program, we'll sing a hymn led by my wife, Megan Dunn. And then I'll talk with you about Broadview's expanding its mission of supporting Christian Science healing. And then Debbie Simmons, our board president, and Melanie Peterson, our co-director of Christian Science Nursing, and Melanie Pilaneta, our manager of Christian Science Nursing Education, will report on our progress. After that, we're going to show you a new video about Broadview, and we'll have a short break. And then we'll have Janet Horton is going to speak with us about the great heart of divinity, and then we'll have the opportunity to ask her some questions. And finally, we will close with a solo. Please be sure that your cell phones are turned to silent so we won't have any interruptions. I'll do the same. Thank you all. All right. My wife, Megan Dunn, is a singer, a songwriter, and an active member of First Church Berkeley. Amongst other things, she served as a reader, a clerk, and was active in its outreach to the homeless and helped to form the Homeless Working Group in Berkeley. Megan began working as a Christian Science nurse at Fern Lodge in Castro Valley in 2015 and later became the Assistant Director of Christian Science Nursing there. Currently, she's working as a private duty nurse in the Los Angeles County. Please join me, everyone, in welcoming Megan.
Thank you, Lynn. It's an honor and a delight to play and accompany everyone in a hymn. I was reading in 1 Corinthians the other day, and I came across a passage I wanted to share before we start. And Paul wrote, "There are so many kinds of voices in the world, and none of them is without signification." And I love to hear everyone's voice lift in song. So let's raise our voices in this prayer. So I will hum it around first for those of you who might need familiarization with the tune or haven't heard it before. And you'll find the words on the very inside, the middle of the inside of the pamphlet. A grateful heart a garden is, and a fortress, and a temple.
This largest of a great one.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. The title of my report today is The Least of These. I'm focusing on our concept of nursing at Broadview. I'm going to talk with you about how expanding our concept of nursing in 3 areas is bringing growth and healing. As I was thinking about this report and the work that we're doing to establish our home in Orange County, I came across this passage in 2 Corinthians in the Message translation of the Bible, which seems especially appropriate. It reads, "So here's what I think. The best thing you can do right now is to finish what you started last year and don't let those good intentions grow stale. Your heart's been in the right place all along. You've got what it takes to finish it up, so go to it. Once the commitment is clear, you do what you can, not what you can't. The heart regulates the hands. This isn't so others can take it easy while you sweat it out. No, you're shoulder to shoulder with them all the way. Your surplus matching their deficit, their surplus matching your deficit. In the end, you come out even. As it is written, nothing left over to the one with the most, nothing lacking to the one with the least." At Broadview, we're working shoulder to shoulder with everyone seeking Christian Science healing. As a Christian Science nursing facility and visiting nursing service, Broadview is an expression of God's care, God's love, and our love for God and for mankind. We take our inspiration from this passage in Matthew. "Inasmuch as ye have done it unto the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me." As an experienced Christian Science nurse, I've seen many healings. In my first months at Broadview, one fact stood out more than any other. I've seen more people go home healed in the last 11 months here than I have at any other facility I've worked at in the same period of time. A few months ago, I had to smile when I saw a patient who just the day before had been making preparations to die walk out of the facility into the sun. A few days later, she went home healed. In Jeremiah, we read, "I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee." People are drawn to Broadview. They're drawn to Christian Science nursing by loving kindness. That is what we all seek for our healing, and we find it at Broadview and through our visiting nursing services. Broadview is a place of wholeness and healing. I've certainly found healing here, not only with that dear lady who I saw that day, but also every time I go and see all of our wonderful staff members tenderly caring for all of our patients. This is a year of gratitude for Broadview, and there are 3 things that we're celebrating this year. The first is that we're open to all who seek Christian Science healing. A new development in the last year has helped to make Christian Science nursing more widely available, thanks to the establishment of the National Fund for Christian Science Nursing and the support of the Christian Science Nursing Care Endowment for Southern California. There's now financial support available for anyone who needs Christian Science nursing care and treatment. That is something to celebrate. We're also celebrating Broadview's purchase of a new home, Broadview South in Laguna Niguel, to use as a Christian Science nursing facility. Once we complete the renovations needed to make this home suitable for nursing, we'll expand Broadview's mission by providing a place for patients and guests in Orange County. I'm now going to take a moment to show you some slides of what it will look like. Are we ready, Donovan? Okay. All right. Here are the slides. So that's the view of the home as it is now, and the previous was as we expect it will be with the renovations. And then we also have some plans. I realize the floor plans may not be very visible to you out there, but we can show you those later. Yeah, that's the downstairs and the upstairs. All right, thank you. Thank you, Donovan. Our new facility will have 6 beds, and it's just a short drive from the Willows, right near First Church Laguna Niguel. Its purpose will be to provide a place for Christian Science nursing for those who can't be cared for in their homes. Home-like but not a home, it will be a facility renovated to be flexible enough to meet most nursing needs. This flexibility is a requirement for both care and financial reasons. The facility needs to be able to meet a mix of patient levels to be useful and to be financially viable. Patients needing more support may still come to our facility in Los Angeles. We expect it'll take at least a year to renovate the home and raise the funds needed for the renovation and maintenance, while at the same time funding and maintaining our facility in Los Angeles. Finally, the last thing we're celebrating, well, among many, is that Broadview is expanding the outreach of our visiting nursing service on the Central Coast and in the Central Valley by hiring a full-time visiting nurse to provide care and give talks about Christian Science nursing. Now, as you know, these areas were devastated by fires in the last year. When we offered to host Christian Scientists at Broadview who lost their homes, most people did not want to come so far from their homes to receive help. So expanding our visiting nurse service there is clearly very much needed. As Mary Baker Eddy wrote in Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures on page 518 with the heading Assistance in Brotherhood, the rich in spirit help the poor in one grand brotherhood, all having the same principle, or Father. And blessed is that man who seeth his brother's need and supplieth it, seeking his own in another's good. We need your help to support our mission of healing. Our facility in Los Angeles, our visiting nursing services, and our new facility in Orange County will bless our community. Broadview has been greatly blessed by many generations of generous donors, staff members, and volunteers. We're glad to welcome anyone who wants to work with us or take Christian Science nursing classes. When you volunteer, work with us, or make a contribution to Broadview, you're directly helping to support our guests and Christian Science healing. We're very grateful for your contributions and your steadfast support for the process of working out how to best use our facilities to support healing. And we ask you to continue to support our efforts to bring healing and comfort to all who seek Christian Science nursing at Broadview South, and through our visiting nursing services. Thank you all for your generous support of Broadview. Debbie Simmons, our board president, is a member of 10th Church Los Angeles. Debbie has brought inspired leadership to our board and has helped us to secure donations needed to renovate Broadview and purchase Broadview South, and has helped recruit several new board members who are here, one of whom just came on board. We're very grateful for all that Debbie has done as a board member to support Broadview's healing mission. Debbie will now give the board report. Please join me in welcoming Debbie.
Thank you, Lynn. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Great, excellent. Thank you all so much for joining us today to celebrate International Christian Science Nursing Days. It's so wonderful to see everyone. I should start on page 1 of my talk. Last year, our board report focused on 3 specific topics: a search for an executive director for Broadview, expansion into Orange County, and the best use of our resources here in Los Angeles. I'm here to update you on those 3 topics. First, we're grateful to report that we've obviously filled the position of executive director. Lynn Watts started last year. Lynn came to us with experience as a Christian Science nurse, as well as experience in development and administration at several Christian Science nursing facilities. Second, as you've already heard from Lynn, we are grateful to report that last fall, we purchased a home in Orange County. This site, which we refer to as Broadview South, will operate as a Christian Science nursing facility, in addition to this facility here in Los Angeles. Third, we're grateful to report that we've been able to proceed with several major house and grounds projects here in Los Angeles, including plumbing, roofing, and grounds maintenance, to name just a few. This has resulted in additional rooms being available for use. We're extremely grateful to report that we're operating at double the capacity of last year at this time. We've also just completed a maintenance review and now have on hand a reserve study report, which will be our blueprint for ongoing repairs and maintenance. Last year at this time, the board was investigating the best use of our resources here in Los Angeles, including the possibility of raising funds through the sale of some or all of this property. Circumstances have changed significantly since that time with respect to both funding and operations. The board is constantly reviewing the current and future needs of the facility and monitoring the financial status of the organization. We are extremely grateful to report that the option of selling some or all of this property is not being pursued by the board. The board's consideration of the best use of our resources remains foremost in our thought, both for this Los Angeles facility and the soon-to-come Broadview South. These facilities require the financial and prayerful support of the entire Christian Science community in Southern California, and we are so grateful for your support. You should always feel free to share your ideas, express your concerns, or direct any questions to Lynn, to myself, or any of our board members. I'd like to introduce and thank our current board members: George Birdsong, Carol Carter, Mike Muslin, Keitha Walker, and Dan Wood. In addition, we've welcomed 3 new board members since last year's annual meeting: Beata Hathaway, Tim Terry, and Diana Rhodes. Please stand. Board members, come on, up, up, up. I'd like to extend a special thank you to 2 former board members who just left us in the last couple of months, who stepped off the board, Ann Cooling and Barry Douglas. And I don't believe they're either here, but thank them anyway. One of the behind-the-scenes supports for Broadview is our metaphysical committee, and hopefully some of them are here today: Kathy Sublette, Eric Oyama, Sandy Hasse, Ginny Nielsen, and Julie Walson. Please thank you. Stand up if you're here. They are a wonderful resource for Broadview. I'd like to thank all of our Broadview employees and ask them all to stand up if they're here today, please. Any nurses, any staff, visiting nurses, all you, stand up for thank you. I was speaking to someone prior to the start of the meeting who mentioned this was his 3rd year of volunteering, and he said he started volunteering because of a comment I made at one of these meetings. So if you'd like to volunteer, please talk to me. Apparently that announcement worked. One final note: if this is your first visit to Broadview, or even if it's not, and you would like a tour of the facility, please meet us just inside those front doors right at the end of this morning program before lunch, and we'll be happy to give you a tour. So again, thank you for being here, and thank you all for your support of Broadview.
Thank you. Am I on? Okay, good. All right. Melanie Peterson, one of our co-directors of Christian Science Nursing, and Melanie Pilaneta, our manager of Christian Science Nursing Education, represent the heart of Broadview, our mission of healing. Thank you for all that you both have done to fulfill Broadview's healing mission. And thank you also to Janie Jordan, wherever you are. Thank you, Janie, for all that you've done also. Melanie and Melanie will now give the Christian Science Nursing report. Please join me in welcoming Melanie and Melanie.
I know I'm not Melanie.
Hello. I'm Melanie Peterson, co-director, along with Janie Jordan, of Christian Science Nursing here at Broadview. Today is International Christian Science Nursing Day, a day to celebrate Christian Science nurses and nursing throughout the world. It's very exciting for us that International Christian Science Nursing Day coincides with our annual meeting this year, because it offers an opportunity to introduce our outstanding and very international staff to you and to share all the different ways you can access Christian Science nursing right here in Southern California. During the break and before lunch, Melanie Piloneta and I will be stationed at the table in front of the Rose Garden to answer your questions and share brochures on Broadview, on Southern California visiting Christian Science nursing services, and on Christian Science nursing education, in case you or someone you know is interested in becoming a Christian Science nurse. Let the introductions begin. Hardian Soprapto, born in Jakarta, Indonesia, emigrated to the United States in 1999. Hardy began his training at Broadview in 2016 and just graduated from level 2, making him eligible for a listing in the Christian Science Journal. Hardy's parents are both former Broadview nurses, and I want to say now, whenever we write or speak and we're required to use the full term Christian Science nurse in public, because we don't want to be confused with medical nursing, and the medical nursing are very adamant that we identify ourselves as Christian Science nurses. But today, when I talk about nursing and nurses, among us, I'm speaking about Christian Science nurses. So I won't use that term. I'll just say nurses or nursing. Mary Newton hails from Minnesota. Mary received her training at Ardenwood in San Francisco, Canterbury Crest in Oregon, Chestnut Hill in Massachusetts, and Sunland Home in Encinitas. Receiving her journal listing in 2005, Mary's been with us at Broadview since 2001, working both temp and full-time as a nurse, trainer, and floor leader. And Mary's mom, Sarah, is also a journalistic Christian Science nurse who works here, too. Please, hold your applause. Just wait to the end. Kathleen Bissell, a journalistic nurse, received all her training at Ardenwood and has been working on and off at Broadview since the 1970s. Kathleen has worked all 3 shifts at Broadview and also serves as floor leader. Kathleen's here today, ushering. Leonie Abagunawardene was born in Waimata, Sri Lanka. Leonie began her nurse's training in 1994 at Le Verger in Rolle, Switzerland. Moving to the United States in 2008, Leonie worked in Glenmont in Hilliard, Ohio, and High Ridge House in New York. Becoming journalistic in 2010, Leonie joined us at Broadview in 2016 and works both as nurse and floor leader. Floor leader is our term for supervisor. Beautiful Hyacinth McLeod, I'm sure you've seen her today, was born in New York City in the borough of the Bronx. Hyacinth received all 4 levels of training at Broadview, earning her journal listing in 2012. Hyacinth works both as nurse and floor leader and is a 10-year Broadview veteran. Hyacinth's mom is also a nurse. Alicia Quintanilla came to the United States from El Salvador in 1980. Alicia came to Broadview as a manicurist in 2002 and quickly decided that nursing was where she belonged. She began her training in 2003 and became journalistic in 2008. Last year, Alicia took part in a Mother Church-sponsored mission to Mexico City to introduce nursing to a group of people interested in becoming Christian Science nurses in Mexico. Delmi Menendez came to the United States from El Salvador in 1974. and worked to bring her family here over the next several years, including her sister Alicia. Delmy began working at Broadview in our housekeeping department in 2005 and joined her sister in nursing in 2006. Delmy completed her level 3 training this year and is working towards qualifying for her journal listing. Janie Jordan was born in Peoria, Illinois, moving to the West Coast in 1980. Jeannie began her training at Broadview in 2005, achieving her journal listing in 2008. Janie has worked on the nursing floor as a floor leader, mentor, and trainer, and has served as Broadview's co-director of Christian Science Nursing since 2015. Gloria Beasley comes from Gomez Palacio, Mexico. Gloria completed the training levels 1, 2, and 3 here at Broadview and was listed in the journal in December last year. Crystal Bernauer was born in Orange, California, like me. Her parents are both Christian Science nurses. Following their footsteps, Crystal began nurses training in Broadview in 2009, completing all 4 levels by 2011. Crystal serves Broadview as a nurse, floor leader, and mentor. Donovan Bernauer, a native of Newport Beach, I'm sure you've seen him here, completed all 4 levels right here at Broadview and received his journal listing in 2012. Donovan is a man of many talents, serving as a nurse, floor leader, and is our go-to guy for everything from IT to equipment, research, and repair, and more. Donovan and Crystal are the proud parents of David, a Broadview regular who brings sunshine and joy to our facility every day. Mel Combs came to the United States from Manila in the Philippines. Mel trained at Fern Lodge in Castro Valley, California, and Glenmont in Hilliard, Ohio. Mel has been working at Broadview for 8 years, both as nurse and floor leader, holding down our night shift. Jim Gray was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, moving to the West Coast at age 6. Jim began his nursing experience at Sheltering Wing in Duarte, California in 1990 and came to Broadview after Sheltering Wing closed. Jim helps out our evening shift every day. Jan Cortland was born right here in Los Angeles. Jan completed all 4 levels of her training at Broadview, finishing in 2009. Jan works here as a nurse on the floor and as floor leader. Moving to Chicago in 2014, Jan served as the director of the Greater Chicago Visiting Nurse Service, returning to Broadview in 2016. In addition to working at Broadview night shift twice a week, Jan works for the Broadview Visiting Nurse Service in the North Counties and helps out the Visiting Nurse Service for Christian Scientists in LA County. She's a busy girl. Wataru Waitharada, born in Osaka, Japan, Wataru came to the United States from Tokyo in 1980. Wataru began his training at Ardenwood and Chestnut Hill. Coming to Broadview in 1984, Wataru finished his training and has been a stalwart support to our nursing staff ever since, setting a record for not calling off work 1 time in 23 years. He deserves a round of applause for that. Katie Rivas comes from Crystal River, Florida. Katie, having worked in non-Christian Science nursing homes prior to coming to Broadview, quickly embraced Christian Science nursing, completing her training at Broadview and earning her journal listing in 2010. Katie usually works the night shift as a nurse and floor leader. Gabrielle Anderson was born in Frankfurt, Germany, and came to the United States in 1993 to begin training at Ardenwood. Over the years, Gabrielle has nursed in facilities from New York to California, receiving her journal listing in 2007. Gabrielle has been with us at Broadview since 2016. Melanie Pilonieta was born in Glendora, California. Melanie began working at Broadview in 2006 in our housekeeping department and quickly made the change to nursing. Melanie completed all 4 levels of training here at Broadview, receiving her journal listing in 2010. Melanie is Broadview's manager of Christian Science nursing education, shepherding and mentoring students through all phases of the nursing program and leading nursing workshops. When she isn't planning or teaching a class, Melanie floor leads and works on our nursing floor. Melanie sent Eli brightens and lifts our spirits every day on his trips to and from our nursery. Linda Ojiaku was born in Imo State, Nigeria, coming to the United States in 2004 to take class instruction and to begin her nurse's training at Hilltop in Chicago. Linda came to finish her training at Broadview and received her journal listing in 2008. Linda works both as nurse and evening shift floor leader at Broadview. Mark McClintock was born in Peoria, Illinois. Mark began his training in 1988 at Hilltop in Chicago, moving on to Fern Lodge in Castro Valley, California, and completing Level 3 here at Broadview in 2010. Rachel McClintock was born in Martinez, California, to a Christian Science nurse. Rachel began her training at Peace Haven in St. Louis, Missouri in 1999. Rachel finished her training at Broadview and became journalisted in 2013. She's worked in over 8 facilities across the country, and for the past 5 years, Rachel and her husband Mark have been core camp members of the Healing Foot Wash Camp at Burning Man, where over 1,500 pairs of feet were washed the week of Labor Day this year. Borna Siameja hails from Lusaka, Zambia. Coming to the United States to begin nurses training in 2003, Bornas took her training at Ardenwood and Broadview, earning her journal listing in 2006. Bornas has graced the nursing floor at Broadview for the past 14 years, working as nurse, floor leader, and as mentor for our trainees. 3 of Bornas' children have served Broadview as nurses. From Psalms. Many, O Lord my God, are thy wonderful works which thou hast done, and thy thoughts which are to usward. They cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered. We are filled with gratitude for our experienced and dedicated nursing staff and the exciting changes that have taken place this past year, for the establishment of the National Fund that assists individuals actively working for Christian Science Healing who are unable to pay the full cost of their care, for the many repairs and improvements we've been able to make to our Broadview buildings and grounds, for the startup of our new Broadview South facility designed to serve the needs of Christian Scientists in Orange County, and most especially for our new executive director, Lynn Watts, who came to Broadview at a time of immense change and who is striving to fill the hopes and dreams of ourselves and you, our constituents. The Lord is good to all, and his tender mercies are over all. Melanie Pilaneta is going to share a healing experience by Patty Turner, our Director of Visiting Nursing in Orange County, Riverside, North Counties,
and San Bernardino. Gotcha. One of the best parts of being a visiting Christian Science nurse is the opportunity to bear witness to some of the healings being experienced by the clients we serve. Though we have seen many since Broadview's last annual meeting, we'd like to share one of them with you today. One of our clients has been purchasing bandaging supplies through Broadview's Visiting Christian Science Nurse Service for several years. Intermittently, he would have the Christian Science nurses attend to a sore on his leg. But more often than not, the client would care for the wound on his own and just have the Christian Science nurses deliver the needed supplies on a regular basis. Most of our visits, therefore, were to drop off supplies or to cut his toenails. However, we were called upon this spring to care for a couple of cuts received in a fall. During one of these visits, the client mentioned that he was now receiving treatment from a different Christian Science practitioner. The wounds for which we were caring healed in a matter of days, and no more thought was given to them. A couple of months later, we picked up a no longer needed piece of nursing equipment, which his wife had briefly borrowed, and while at their home, the Christian Science nurse realized that she hadn't delivered any bandaging supplies to this client for some time now. So she asked the husband if he needed any tape or supplies from the service. His response was, "No, at the moment there is nothing wrong with me." Upon hearing his reply, the Christian Science nurse rejoiced. First, she rejoiced because of his matter-of-fact attitude. He expressed gratitude, but not over-the-top excitement or awe or relief to be done with a long-standing challenge. He simply let us know that he didn't need bandaging supplies because there was nothing to bandage. Second, she rejoiced in the practical lesson in persistence which this healing demonstrated, and in this clear proof that no matter how long a condition has existed, it must and will yield to the scientific truths being known about it, for truth is always the victor, Science and Health, 384. And third, she rejoiced that in the science of being which we are all striving to demonstrate, there never had been, nor ever could be, anything wrong with him. For as our leader declares on page 471 of Science and Health, science knows no lapse from nor return to harmony, but holds the divine order of spiritual law in which God and all that he creates are perfect and eternal, to have remained unchanged in its eternal history. While cutting his toenails during a recent visit, another Christian Science nurse noted the totality of his healing. She said not only was the flesh completely restored, but the whole experience had been expunged from his thought. We've also seen a softening of his character and a much more joyous expression of life. The truth has made him free. We can all be so grateful that, be it slow or fast, Christian Science does indeed heal. Thank you, Patty Turner.
Thank you, Melanie and Melanie, and thank you, Patty. Thanks to Daryl Dorr and the Clearway Foundation, we have a new video about Broadview to show you.
For me, since I've been here, I've seen more people go home healed here in the last several months than I have at any other facility that I've been at. And that's just a wonderful, wonderful thing to see.
I became interested in Christian Science nursing at a time when I was looking for employment. One day, my daughter was instant messaging a friend from college, and she told me that the person told her that she just walked away from Broadview with a badge and keys to Broadview. So I asked my daughter to please get me the number to Broadview so I could call and see if they were hiring other people. I was on the phone with them in minutes, and I was really grateful to see how seriously they take this education, because there was a class, this was a Thursday, there was a class that was going to start on that Monday, and there were only 6 people in it, and it was considered a large class because this is such sincere information that they didn't want it to be too many people. And I know that lovely director, if she could have gotten me in that class, she would have. So what she decided to have me do was start volunteering. And that involved me coming and reading the Bible lesson to the patients and doing what was necessary that I could do, not having had my training yet. And within weeks, I was offered to attend the nurses' floor assistant class on February 9th of 2009, and it will be 10 years this coming February. I am so grateful.
Each nurse, each person here is a dedicated worker for Christ and Christian healing.
I became interested in Christian Science nursing because I was born and raised in Christian Science, and both of my parents are nurses, and they actually worked here before for 5 years. And I got in about two years ago in 2016, and with Melanie, I came to the open house, and then I said, okay, I'll give it a try, and then I will do it. And now this is my second year, and I really enjoyed being here. Well, I like the atmosphere, and all the teamwork.
Well, Broadview's mission is to support Christian Science healing. And so we're doing that now by reaching out to anyone who wants Christian Science treatment, whether they're a member of the church or not. There are many people all over Los Angeles and all over the country, of course, who need and hunger for healing. They may not know that they want Christian Science, but if they find that they do and they come to know us, then we're happy to help them.
I've had so many challenges. I was healed of malaria many years ago, and of course sometimes with flu or maybe challenge with diarrhea. All those have been healed in my life. Christian Science nursing is a ministry of love, is where you experience God's love. And you'll be able to experience that on the floor and wherever you are, because it's your practice. It's a daily practice that you'll be doing. And it works.
Well, I've seen everything be healed, from cancer to, a leg that was completely black turn into new flesh. I've seen people come back from the dead. So I've seen pretty much everything that you could see in Christian Science nursing, and it's been a wonderful thing to see that.
Well, the nurses, of course, see each patient as the perfect reflection of God. So when patients come here, no one is looking at them and diagnosing them and thinking, oh, what's wrong, or seeing what's wrong with the person. What the nurses do here is see what's right. I quit the job I had with no idea of what I was going to do, and just gave myself the time to pray and to think, to listen, to see what was in store for me. And one day, I noticed a little pink postcard in the clerk's office in my church, and it said, "Have you ever considered being a Christian Science nurse?" Well, I'd seen that card for years in that office, and every time I saw it, I thought, no way, I would never want to do that. But finally, one day, I looked at that card and I thought, maybe that's what I'm looking for. Maybe that's the job for me. So I called Broadview, where I work now, and they were having a nursing discovery day, and I attended that. And after the meeting was over, I talked to the director of nursing here, and she explained to me that I could get all the training I needed right here at Broadview in Los Angeles, and there would be really no impediment for me to start the training and become a nurse. And I'm pretty sure I signed my name on the dotted line that day. So it was just so instantaneous, really. It was marvelous.
Well, if someone needs food, we get them food. If they can't chew the food, we modify the food. If they're not willing to eat, we work with them to get them to eat. We call the practitioner so they can support us in getting them to eat. That's what we call practical.
I was watching TV, and then I watched some practitioners talking about Christian Science and about God and the role He has on our health. And I thought I was interested. And then I wrote to Boston and asked for some Christian Science literature and took my daughter to Sunday school.
We had a patient here who she arrived and she needed about 3 nurses to even just to help her stand. And she was just at the point where that's all she could do, just stand. But it didn't discourage her. She still, with every single movement, she said, "Thank you, Father." In about 3 weeks from the time she arrived, she was walking out the door, no assistance, every single step, "Thank you, Father." And there was never a moment where she was comparing her rate of progress to somebody else's. And there was never a moment where she wasn't expressing gratitude. And that was such a clear example to me that gratitude heals.
Mrs. Eddy talks about this idea that the minds surrounding your patient are very important, or vital, in fact, to healing. And that's the case here. It doesn't matter whether the worker works in the kitchen or in housekeeping or in nursing. Every mind surrounding the patient, every thought surrounding the patient is important to support that healing.
This is what we do to our family members, our friends, and we have an opportunity to see God's man. There's no better way to love someone than to see them the way God does. And that's what we do in this building, and we see healing in doing that.
I never thought I'd be doing this, but I end up doing it, and I end up liking it.
When I was first in nursing, we learned that one thing that we think about in regards to emergencies is the idea that we emerge and see. You know, we emerge from the material picture in our prayers, however instant, and we answer whatever is needed to stop the bleeding or allay the fear or help the person immediately in whatever way that comes to us. And I've seen some very unusual responses to that, many of which have been remarkably and quickly effective. You know, I've seen seizures healed in a moment. I've seen, you know, people, as I said, come back from the dead. So, you know, I've seen pretty much every emergency healed, so I have a great deal of confidence that God is all the power there is, and whenever we recognize that, we will see it.
It's a good career because you are going to work with people and you are going to experience healing in people's lives, like I said. It's a labor of love, I would say.
I want them to remember the love, that no matter what was needed to alleviate their fear, we were willing to do that and to help support them in a loving and appropriate way.